Live from New York, it's Ask an Engineer.
Hey everybody, take a break from doom scrolling and hang out with us for an hour. It's me, Lady Ada. The engineer with me is Mr. Lady Ada. We're going to be here for about an hour talking about all the latest news in America, as well as the maker community, hacking, electronics, coding, and more. We've got a lot of good stuff to kick off the year. We're going to try to make it as good a year as possible. And part of that is making cool electronics and sharing them with others. So let's get right into it.
I'm going to switch gears a little bit. And obviously, so today is January 6th. Today was probably one of the worst days in American history. It's not over yet. There's still more of today. It kind of seems like 2020, we were done with it, but it wasn't done with us. I have this graphic that Lady Ada and I, we've been at the Adafruit factory. We've actually had people show up at Adafruit and try to harm Lemoore, and I've had to get off air and take care of it. There's been lots of messed up things that have happened. It's very hard to run a company, to be a high-profile female engineer or a woman in tech. So we've dealt with anything. So I had to make this graphic. Under attack, please stand by. And I had to I would mute the thing and I would go over. I would take care of it. There's lots of things that have come up, but this graphic applies tonight because this is our nation's capital. We broadcast from the USA. We're proud Americans. We're a North American manufacturer. And this was something that was planned today. There was a civil war attempt, a coup on our nation. And
it wasn't a very good coup, but it still is one.
This was something that the leadership knew was happening. They encouraged it. They did nothing about it. And make no mistake of what this was. Here's a guy who went into Nancy Pelosi's office. He took stuff out of it. A guy dressed up and eventually stood in front of the entire chamber. The politicians had to wear gas masks because we had to go through and figure out what's going on. There was explosive devices left there. This is happening. This is real. And make no mistake what this is. Racist terrorists took over the U.S. Capitol today. We've been active in social justice causes. These are the things we've been worried about. These are the things that we've seen on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and nothing's happened and nothing's changed. It's only gotten worse. This wasn't escalated quickly. This has been happening every single day for the last 4 years and beyond. And we're part of the North American Manufacturers Association. Look at what they're saying. Manufacturers call on armed thugs to cease the violence at the Capitol. They're talking about 25th Amendment stuff. So here we are. We're USA manufacturers.
I'm an American.
I think Lemoore is a national treasure. There's a lot of probably dark days ahead, but one thing I wanted to say, and I said this on the show and tell right before we started, is, to be in this industry that we're in, science, technology, engineering, art, mathematics, think about a young person right now. Do you think they're really worried about school, or do you think they're thinking about what programming language? Do you think they're thinking about what they're going to make or what career? They're freaking out because what is this? This is not normal. And
think of how many millions of hours were lost today because people were looking and trying to figure out what's going on. We could have been vaccinating people.
Not only hours. Yeah. By the way, we're still in the middle of a pandemic, and today we had 3,800 people die. So, it's at the point right now where we're not a political show, but these are now, it's unavoidable. And so one of the things I want to talk about is the fact that you do science and technology and engineering, you do music, you do art, that means you're an optimist. And we're going to need a bunch of optimists. We're going to need to figure out ways to talk to each other again. One of the ways that we approach it is everyone makes something. And if you're making something, you probably don't want to blow each other up. Everyone cooks, everyone eats, everyone does certain things. That's a creative process. And we're going to need to rebuild and build back society. This was terrible what happened today. I want to thank whoever grabbed all the votes. These are the leather cases.
Look at these fucking awesome votes. They're they're stored in these beautiful wooden cases with straps.
And awesome. We're just an electronics company. However, we've been trying to find ways to use our voice for good social change because we were worried about what happened today. This is the things that we're worried about. It happened. It's happening. You think this is going to happen in other countries? No, it's happening right now. Who cares about the stock market, by the way?
Well, it's not real. I mean, it doesn't match the
But
GDP.
this is the thing. It's here, the stock market's still fine. So wouldn't you trade in maybe a slower day of trading for our capital not being on fire for a bit? There's all sorts of things to consider. But I want to stress, we're always going to be making stuff. We're going to be shipping things. We're going to be making more products and hardware than ever because there's nobody else. I don't see anyone else stepping up to do this like us and getting the word out. So today is it's a teachable moment, but we have a lot of repair work to do. I know our community is a type of community that can do it. I'm encouraged by lots of things. Historic day yesterday. The first black Democrat from Georgia is going to the Senate. This is one of the most. They're probably calling it for Ossoff as well. That's a big deal. There's things that are going to change.
The only thing I'm worried about Ossoff is I think my mom's going to be like, "Why don't you marry that nice Jewish boy?"
There's encouraging things, and part of our job as Adafruit is to we have to be perpetual optimists. We have to. And we can never get tired. We can never stop. All throughout COVID for the last 10 months, we didn't stop. We made face shields. We made stuff for our government and our country. This is the type of things to celebrate. And, maybe later on in the show, I'll mention a couple things. But, when you embolden people with bad attitudes and racism, this is what starts to happen. You have to call it out and say no from the very beginning because it eventually shows up and it crushes your barriers. It goes through the glass. Someone gets shot. They die. There's a lot of bad things that happen today. And the only way forward is we say, no to that type of behavior. We stop it. We see it. We tell people it's not okay. And then we also try to figure out ways to come together and build stuff. So, anyways, we're experiencing this world like all of you all are. There's probably been other catastrophes or celebrations that just happened the following Wednesday. So that's what this Wednesday is. We'll talk about other things in just a second. But, This is what we're dealt with today. This is the cards we were dealt. So, tonight we don't have any staff in DC, and we hope all of our customers and community is okay. Please stay in. There's a curfew.
Yeah.
And we'll see how things go. It's a dark day. We can always work towards making things better tomorrow. And I'm confident we're the type of people that can do it, and our community is the type of people that can do it. So with that being said, we're completely going to shift gears. On tonight's show, we're shipping smart and safe. Thank you so much, everyone, for making 2020 survivable for us. We're only here because you place orders. These are pre-COVID photos. We all wear masks now, of course. And, of course, we are still shipping smart and safe. Check out our safety protocols and more for our entire team. Adafruit.com/opensafely. It's there. We hope other people look at them, use them, and it's how we've been managing to stay safe. Show and tell people around the world. We'll be showing and sharing their projects. Lady Ada will talk about that and more. Time travel. I really would like to go back in time, fix some things, and go forward in time and just see how things worked out.
I think we have to just go forward. We can, negate the violence with action. I mean, on the same day that we're seeing, this totally inappropriate, terrorists mob activity, is the same day that we're seeing what happens when there's activism in Georgia to get people to vote. So it's possible.
Python Hardware News, we'll be talking about all the things on Python Hardware from our newsletter. Made in New York City, factory footage, USA, making things. That's the type of thing to celebrate. We'll be showing that.
Yes.
3D printing got to speed up. DigiKey and Adafruit will be doing Eye on NPI this week. It's a special new product from TE.
First of the year.
Brought to you by Adafruit and DigiKey. We got some new products. We got some top secret. We'll answer your questions. We do that on Discord, adafruit.it/Discord. Join all 26,000 of us. All that and more on, you guessed it, Ask an Engineer. Whew. That's right.
We're doing it.
Okay. The other thing as we go through this stuff, we're not scared to talk about these issues because it's all in everyone's life. We're not going to dedicate a whole show to every single political thing. But when things happen, don't you think it's good that you can turn to a community, an open source, cool hardware sharing community and say okay, those folks, whether I agree with their politics or not, they're dedicated to building the next thing. They're dedicated to helping fix things. They're dedicated to helping each other and people. Isn't that cool?
That's a decision that you have to make. It's an active
we all
decision.
Can do that.
I've been part of communities where that wasn't a decision that was made. It was passed off or ignored, and then people left and they said, I don't feel respected and I don't like this community.
So this is precious. It's special. After the holidays, a couple folks had New Year's resolutions. We heard some teachers and some parents, and so I have a couple reminders on that. If you're looking to help someone on that career, if you're looking to help someone build that future they want to do, we still have our gift certificates going. Those are lasting all the time. And then for AdaBox, we'll be shipping the next one in March. We have less than 50 slots open out of the thousands and
Yes,
thousands
they
we
went
ship
fast.
out. It went super fast. And then we're still currently right now, when you place an order, we give you a bunch of free stuff.
That's
Lady Ada,
right.
what do they get?
Freebies, $99 or more, you get a free half-size Perma-Proto. That's the thing up there to the left. It's great for taking your projects off of a breadboard and then soldering them. Works great with anything that's 0.1 inch spacing, which is like pretty much everything we stock. $149 or more, you get a free STEMMA QT board. Boards like the QT Pie or accelerometers or temperature sensors or light sensors. We have a whole bunch of them as options. If you make an account, we'll send you a different one each time, which is awesome. If you don't, you'll just get a random one. You don't have to make an account, but we can't guarantee you won't get the same thing twice. $199 or more, you get free UPS ground shipping in the continental United States, and $299 or more, you get a free Circuit Playground Express, our all-in-one development board. That's a great way to get started programming in Arduino, Circuit Python, make code, code.org CS discoveries, no soldering required. Use any computer you like. It's a wonderful gift.
Okay. Next up, show and tell, people around the world showing and sharing their projects. Lady Ada, who is on the show and tell this week?
Oh, we had some great people.
What did they share? Again,
Happy New Year.
another thing to keep in mind
Yeah.
if you're worried about the future, I'm freaking out, what's going on, even if you need to, especially young kids, show them show and tell. There are people every single week making something cool and sharing it, and then what they do is they release code or software or packages of software or hardware, and then they see other people do it, and then other people do it, and we all build something with each other. And what is the foundation of society? People work together. It's our one secret weird thing. We're the only species
we
that
collaborate.
work with strangers. You walk down the street and someone drops something, you pick it up. The animal kingdom doesn't do that. We do. We're the only ones
They'll
who
just
do that.
bite you.
We're the only ones who do this. And just on a side note, that's why COVID is really tough, because we talk to each other, we communicate. This thing slips in because of that.
Yeah.
So one of our greatest strengths, what we need to continue to work on, especially now, is also right now the thing that's getting us, because we like to talk, we like to socialize. It's the thing that has managed to make us the dominant species on this planet. And I don't know, we're not doing a good job today, but we could do better.
It's an opportunity for growth.
We could do better.
Okay, so we had
So who's all the better people?
Kevin from DigiKey came by, said hello. He's working on a claw machine built only from parts that are available from DigiKey, so like aluminum extrusion, 3D printed parts, they've stock filament, electronics, motors, and more buttons. I mean, it's like a candy store, basically. They talked about that. So you should move to Thief River Falls, by the way. If you want all the electronics anytime at night, I mean, they're probably open 24 hours a day. You can go and grab electronics if you work there. So the claw machine is happening. Trevor gave an update for the AR app that we have for the MagTag tarot reading demo. So we added 7 more cards. Brent is working on OAuth for Google authentication, and he demoed it, and it worked live on on video, where he had a QR code, he scanned it with his phone, authenticated the app, and then the Pi portal even said, "Hi, yes, I've been authenticated." So he's taking advantage of the TV flow, the authorization flow that's used for televisions, because televisions don't have keyboards or buttons; they only have a display. So kind of neat. A good hack by Brent. Jepler showed 2 Pi gamers, one loading PCF fonts, one loading BDF fonts, and showed that PCF fonts are way faster. He also made a PCF converter webpage. Check it out on our CircuitPython font guide. JP he went back to doing his product pick of the week videos, and he got a Nunchuck QD adapter, and so he plugged in a Guitar Hero like a Wii guitar from Guitar Hero, which has the same connector for the Nunchuck, and so it worked great. And so he's going to make a cool MIDI controller. Noah and Pedro are making a Buddha machine, kind of like a modern one, using a Raspberry Pi 4. And they're still documenting the Darksaber build. It's a big guide. It's going to be the first big guide of 2021, so look forward to that. Liz has been working on 8x8 sprite animations, and they're cute. Mark found the book that he learned to program when he was a kid as a Commodore 64 programming manual. Steve showed off that he has used reverse mount NeoPixel LEDs in a mechanical keyboard, like a MIDI keyboard. Also, he used it to control his Xbox, and it was super cool. So a lot of retro technology showing up in this show and tell. And then last but not least, Joey made a Cutie Pie powered NeoPixel ring clock with a custom RTC module. He's been finishing up a bunch of projects because he got some low cost Cutie Pie boards.
A reminder, Show and Tell is the weekly show we do every single week, doing it for about a decade. And like I said, if you're looking for those glimpses of optimism and more, just look at the community people that they make and share every single week. They're always doing something. There's new people. There's new projects. Come on in. Everyone's welcome. Join next week, Wednesday at 7:30 p.m. That's part of Adafruit live series of shows. If you're watching this right now, it's Wednesday at 8 p.m.
That's where you're at.
And Wednesday at 7:30 is when we do Show and Tell. It's our two shows that we do on Wednesday. On Sunday, we do Desk of Lady Ada. And on Desk of Lady Ada, we talked about JST connectors. And after we talked about JST connectors, we...
Where in the world is that part I need? The Great Search with DigiKey.
We did the Great Search with DigiKey, where you showed people how to...
Find JST, PH, and SH connectors, also known as stemma connectors or battery connectors for our boards. I really like these JST 2mm pitch and 1mm pitch connectors and cables. And, we stock 10 packs in case you're just like, oh, I need to build one for a prototype or I have to repair a board that, you rip the connector off somehow. But if you would like to use them in a design, product, or project, and you want a large quantity, you can pick them up at a very affordable price from DigiKey, and they come in all sorts of sizes. Like here you got one that's a through-hole 2-pin vertical, right? Like they've got every flavor possible of JST connectors. And connectors are, it's an important part of an electronics project because each one's a little different, but there's reasons for each one.
And Sundays, around 8, 9, sometimes even a little later. It depends on what Lady Ada's doing. On Tuesdays, we do JP's Product Pick of the Week, and this is, I think, the only show that's broadcast live inside of a product page, and that is where JP goes over a product that's on sale only during that time, so make sure you get your calendar, smash that subscribe button and hit the alert thing so you can look at what's on YouTube.
You can install on your mag tag a little alert.
Yeah, and let's do a little bit of a recap from this week's JP's Product Pick of the Week.
So this is our product pick of the week. This is the Wii Nunchuck adapter. This one is the first one that I know of that has the little Stemma QT/Quick connectors on it. And this is using a Wii Chuck plugged into our little Stemma QT Wii Nunchuck breakout adapter. If I go up on Y, it increases the number of NeoPixels. Down on Y, it decreases them. If I tap the Z button here, I can cycle between some different colors. I also am using the accelerometer for brightness. With that C button held down, I can now adjust my brightness, and of course it'll read all of these at the same time. That is the product pick of the week. It is the Wii Nunchuck breakout adapter using Stemma QT.
JP's workshop is coming up this week. That is tomorrow, and you'll be able to see that and more. Time travel. We're looking around in the world of hackers, makers, artists, engineers. Already did current news this week, so kind of excited about this. I get to put on my journalism hat a little bit. I scored an interview with the new owner of Radio Shack.
This is the second one.
Ty Lopez. Yeah,
we're going to do this over and over again.
Radio Shack has gone through different ownership. Ty Lopez is probably known for his YouTube videos and investing in entrepreneurship.
I heard he has a car.
He has a car. And we're going to just ask what's the future of Radio Shack? Who do they think their core customers are now? What's going to change? What are they going to do to build it for success? So we're going to be talking with Ty, and then we're going to probably be releasing the interview on Monday. I'm excited about this. We had the previous CEO on Ask an Engineer a few years ago. This is, I think, the 5th time that I've been able to work with whatever version of Radio Shack there is. And I think this one, I'm going to be a little optimistic here. The Radio Shack of now is, so the stores are gone. They can bring some back. The Radio Shack of now, whatever they build, it's all going to be new. So it's going to be an online presence, most likely. It's going to have probably a lot of things that people remember from days of old, but they also have the opportunity to turn Radio Shack into something else. It's like a very well-known brand. Everyone
Yeah.
knows what Radio Shack is.
It was
in the US.
interesting when I think we talked to the CEO last time. They said that basically the way Radio Shack worked is that Radio Shack would have like one huge breakout hit every decade that would just carry the company through lulls. So like it was
Yeah.
CB radio, or
Yeah, then it was the
Dish,
antenna. Then it was the antennas
For
when
Dish,
people had
yeah, yeah.
antennas. Then it was like satellite, and
or
then
it was like personal computers, like Tandy.
Yeah.
Like there was always this like one thing a decade that was just like it was kind of edgy at the time. They would carry it, and there'd be like the only store you could get this thing, and it was just like an electronics like fad obsession.
Yeah.
And you know, unfortunately, with cell phones, they lost control. You know, they did cell phones, but then they kind of sort of lost control out of it. TVs, you could get them anywhere. Like, you know, iPods, you could, you know, Apple was selling them, and like there wasn't a big market. There was only really one vendor. So that's when it kind of started becoming difficult for the companies. It's going to be interesting to see like what's their new approach, right? That worked for them for like
Yeah.
50 plus years. What's going to work now?
So if you have any like really specific questions, and you know, I think I have a pretty good chunk of questions, but email pt at Adafruit and pt at adafruit.com, I should say, and I'll try to ask them. And my goal is to always have communication with maker-like companies that people associate with the maker movement or engineering. And I've interviewed probably, like, I don't know, in my entire life, 100 or so different CEOs all together for different topics and more. And so what I really want to do is, like, what do we have as a purchasing population that they may want to consider as well? You know, maybe they'll talk Adafruit stuff. Adafruit stuff's been in Radio Shack before. But, you know, we have a voice too, and we can say, here's some important stuff that we want to see in there, and we'll buy it. So anyways, we'll see how that goes. I should be doing that Friday, and then I'll release it on Monday.
Okay.
All right. It is now time for Python on Hardware News.
Whew. All right. It's the first one of the year.
Yeah. So if you haven't already, go to adafruitdaily.com and sign up for our newsletter.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Number one thing, no matter what, if you're just going to do one nice thing for CircuitPython or for us, is please, please, please take a look at the CircuitPython 2021 post. It's on our blog. And what we're asking is, what should CircuitPython do? Where should it go in 2021? So things that we want to know, projects we'd like to build, things you think could be easier, additional community programs, weekly meeting, core CircuitPython features, core CPython libraries to add, additional microcontroller platforms, new board support, library improvements, Blinka, additional libraries, package management, documentation improvement, learning system, read the docs, video tutorials, ecosystem needs, this newsletter, the awesome CircuitPython, GitHub, CircuitPython.org, the Adafruit support forum, Discord channel, tooling enhancements, GitHub Actions, the bootloader. And one of the things specifically is if you say the type of projects you're going to do, that helps a lot, because if CircuitPython can't do it, we can add those features.
Right.
And I think sometimes, especially when we started, I don't think folks realized how fast we were going to move. Like, if you want to do a music playing robot, you can do it with CircuitPython now.
Very easily.
And when we first started, people were like, I want to be able to play MP3s. Now you can. I want to be able to display fonts. No problem. I want to do E. No problem. I want to do like cool animations.
We do low power now. I mean,
Yeah.
like we're
I want,
adding.
I want low power and sleep mode.
Right. So we're adding things, but what would be really helpful is here's a project that you want to build that you can't build. That
Yeah.
I know some people are like, I need you to add this feature, and that's one thing. But sometimes we make things capable of doing your project not necessarily directly the way you think. So it's more helpful to say, hi, I'm trying to build a CNC driver and I need to be able to send data back and forth in like a binary format. That's more useful to us to help us know what's needed in the community than just saying, you know, I need you to make dynamic USB descriptors, which we might do. But there might be other ways to solve your problem. We want to solve people's problems. And not just tick off boxes for the sake of saying like, oh, they have a box ticked and we need a box ticked. So I think that's what most useful is. The most useful thing is to tell us what projects you'd like to build that you can't.
We posted up some of our coming soon. It's a bit of a recap. We have our Cyber Deck add-ons for Raspberry Pi 400. Have a couple of new boards that we're releasing.
Twinkie.
The SD card on a chip thing, it was a pretty popular video. It's basically like an SD card inside of a chip.
It's an SD card and a chip, guys.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what it is.
Yeah. So other new bits of
ESP32
hardware.
boards.
Yeah, the ESP32 S2 S3 was announced.
That's right.
So we're looking forward to that.
That's basically a dual core S2, and it re-adds Bluetooth Low Energy. So that's kind of nice.
Here's a mag tag on a Maytag. It's a dishwasher status indicator.
I wanted to do this project, and
Yeah.
it was cool to see somebody like, I'm not upset like, oh, they stole my idea. I'm like, I'm glad that somebody else built this project because I didn't get to it.
Practical IoT hacking has CircuitPython mentioned in it. You can check out this really neat game console developed around the Adafruit Matrix Portal control
Cool, they
board.
had like a soundboard to it. That was kinda
Yeah,
neat.
it's kind of neat.
Oh, they ported Carter's weather to the
Yeah, this
Pipe
is
Portal
a
Titano.
Pipe Portal Titano with weather. Here's a multimodal game of life to show the different variations of game of life, and it's all running CircuitPython. This is really cool. Here's a keyboard designed as a feather wing, a CircuitPython Star Wars pixel tree topper for the holidays,
Yes.
3D
Important.
printed lightsaber with a feather, and the prop maker feather wing programmed in CircuitPython. Here is a kid, and this kid built a robot over the holiday break with CircuitPython. Lots of kids
Yay.
doing lots of projects. We've been seeing a lot of those lately.
I like this, like the light speed between the Earth, Moon, and Jupiter. This was a
Yeah.
cool, like, scientific
This uses
visualization
a
project.
Trinket M0 and CircuitPython. They're probably wondering, how come I'm seeing so many like really advanced and/or sciencey projects with CircuitPython? It's because a lot of people know Python, and that translates really well to CircuitPython because it's identical, and they're
Yeah.
able to do hardware projects now.
All right.
So yeah, if you know Python,
Being
you'll know
stuff,
that.
some cool
I like
Python.
this. This is a cool thing. This is the ultimate guide to fantasy football, but you learn Python along the way.
Yeah, it's
I
a paid
love
book,
stuff like
but
this.
I think it's cool. Or I
Yeah.
like that they went a totally different way. Like everybody's like, learn Python, like the hardware, whatever. This person's like, no,
Yeah.
you like fantasy football. It's like it's so niche, but it's also like a large community of people.
New guides, including single serving things. I like these because it's like I just want to see Twitter from this account.
Yeah.
We are now up to 289 libraries. Check it out. Lamore is doing a talk in Linux Conf AU about CircuitPython
up
Blinka.
soon.
And of course, don't forget, PyCon's coming up. They did hit their fundraising goals, by the way. We helped out the best we could with that, from not only donating, but getting the word out and doing a membership drive. Thank you, everyone in the channel who did that when we were doing that. And as always, please check out Discord all throughout the week and more. And if you want to learn CircuitPython, check out Code Academy. And that is, you guessed it,
Blinka, blinka, blinka.
that's right. Okie dokie. Lady Ada, we are an open source hardware company. To prove it, we release guides.
We do.
We have 2,394 guides. In addition to all the hardware and all the code, what is on the big board this week?
Well, we had two guides. I mean, this way a lot of people took well-needed breaks. And thank you everybody for taking care of yourselves and taking a break. So we only have two guides this week. Kat and I worked on a guide for the new product from Fab this week. It's an STD30 NDIR CO2 temperature humidity sensor. So the Arduino and CircuitPython code is documented here along with PCB files and such. And then Lucian, who works on CircuitPython core support, mostly for ESP32, S2, and STM32, wanted to port a old flashcard e-ink project over from Arduino. And I said, look, we've got all this font support. We just added PCF font support as well. Why don't you make a flashcard project for the Mac tag? Because it's so great at displaying text, and you can use the buttons to go forward and back. It's a lovely guide. It shows a couple different ways of doing basic and more advanced flashcard projects. And the best part is, of course, you can use any Unicode font. So stuff like displaying Japanese characters, which can be really complicated in something like Arduino, is trivial to do in CircuitPython, especially since Python is 3 is Unicode native. You can actually just put in the Unicode text you want, and it will appear exactly the way you type it in the REPL, which is so cool.
Okie dokie. Next up, some made in New York City factory footage.
Take it away, factory.
Take it away, factory. This is what we should all be talking about. Making stuff in the USA right now.
And here are a couple testers.
Testers I have to
more that we're working
rework.
on.
It was backwards, but we got it fixed. Power
Bunch of
resistors.
Resistors.
Yeah, you need them.
Here's a bunch of boxes as we're prepping stuff.
Boxes. Getting ready for kitten. And this is the line. This is where we do our manufacturing. So you can see the pick and places. There's 2 of them, and then the oven right afterwards, and the evening sun coming through the windows.
All right, and of course, it wouldn't be Made in New York City factory footage unless we showed what's going on across the street from Adafruit. This is the Disney headquarters being built every single day. I like their consistency. I think they have no idea what's going on in the world. When they're done, there'll be this Disney building will be like COVID, insurrection. I don't remember that.
No, they're going to get buried in the building. This is like, the
That's how,
stories.
ooh, that's how it works.
The stories of the ziggurats, yeah.
All right, so 3D printing, we'll be back on a normal 3D printing schedule this week. Noah and Pedro had their show today. Here is a speed up. Hangouts returns every single week, every single Wednesday. Stay tuned for that. All right, it is time. DigiKey and Adafruit present
Eye on MPI.
this week's Eye on MPI is from TE.
That's right.
New products are on DigiKey, Adafruit. What is the new product
Okay.
from DigiKey this week?
Happy New Year.
Yeah.
Happy New Year. First INPI of 2021. We're going to switch it up with a solid state relay. I actually pick out every week a couple different products that I might have for INPI. I'm not going to tell you what the other one would have been maybe this week. I might do it next week. But when I picked this out of my DigiKey box, I just thought, oh my God, this is so cute. This is like the cutest NPI. I got to do it for this week. So this week it is the I want to get the full name right. The SSRMP, which I think is like solid state relay micro package or mini package from TE. These are adorable little solid state relays. So here is what it looks like. Solid state relay. I just love the build of this, right? I guess it's a TE and a subgroup called Potter and Brumfield, which just sounds like a really great pub in England or something. This solid state relay, they're small, right? They're only, it's like about an inch by 3/4 of an inch or so, a half an inch. But these are pretty powerful relays. I mean, they can handle up to 480 volts AC, up to 25 amps. They've got a great mechanical package. What I like is, of course, they give you a 3D model, so you can put this into your mechanical design, import it directly. They have like STLs and 3D PDFs and all that good stuff. This solid state relay is perfect for when you have a bunch of AC you want to control. So inside, so this is the mechanical dimensions. As I mentioned, it's quite small. It's about 22 millimeters by 22 millimeters square. And then there's a heat sink that does extend out. It's a solid chunk of aluminum, which is quite nice for heat sinking your solid state relay. And inside there is a photo opto isolated input that controls the triac output for controlling AC. So I like that they put that extra step of having it be isolated. There's zero cross and non-zero cross versions. We can chat about that later. For connecting to it, it's got these spade connector ends. They're standard ones, I think 1/4 inch. The other is 0.1785, which is some 16ths or 5/16 or something of an inch. And you can use standard spade connectors to connect to it. So, we sell a kit, but you can also get cables pre-made with spade lugs on them for very quick connects. So why use a solid state relay? Well, you don't have to for a lot of use cases. Often people start AC control or DC control projects with a relay. Here's a relay from TE. These come in like every size and shape. And Relays are great. They're inexpensive and they're really easy to use, and they're fully isolated. So this is, I love these transparent relays, which are also handy for telling what's going on with your relay, but also wonderful for documentation. So on the right, you see there's a coil. When current passes through this coil, it turns into an electromagnet. There's a little ferromagnetic core inside of it. And on the left-hand side, you see a single pole double throw connection. That little armature in between goes back and forth. If it's magnetized, it pulls in. Otherwise, it's kind of pushed out by a spring contact. And that's what controls the switch, right? The switch is either connected to the left or to the right pole. So this is how a relay works. And relays are great because they're so simple, right? You apply power, it switches. You remove power, it's no longer switching. This is like an ancient electronic technology that we're still using. And it's great, but why would you not want to use a relay? Well, one thing about a relay is they're a little slow, right? They do take, up to 10 milliseconds because there's like a mechanical switch. They have to mechanically move this little flipper from the left to the right. So they're not instantaneous, right? There is some millisecond delay and it's inconsistent. You can measure it, but it might be different each time depending on the temperature or, mechanical stresses on the system. And also, eventually, as those two contacts, this is two photos on the left is a totally clean contact. As that contact gets closer and closer, infinitesimally close, it sort of starts to chatter a little bit, and there's an arc from the voltage across the gap. And that can cause oxidation. On the right, you can see after like 100,000 switches, you get this like corroded contact. And so that's why relays are replaceable. They're for hobbyist projects, they're soldered in place. But for, if you look at the relays, for example, in if you ever walk by like a light switch on like a crossing light or a traffic lamp, they use relays, and you'll see these gigantic removable relays. And whenever the traffic light breaks, it's usually because the relay, this happened to the relay because they're switching on and off, every few minutes to control the traffic. And so they get oxidized and they stop working. And it's, it happens after 10,000, 20,000, whatever, thousand contacts. And so if you need something to switch very quickly, or you need something that does not oxidize and corrode after some time, that's when you'd want to move to an SSR. So a solid state relay, which is, it says the word relay in it, but it's not really it's not like a solid state version of a relay. It's like a totally different mechanism of operation, but the name stuck. So in this case, this is a dimmer switch. So, if you have lighting, for example, this is a common use of SSRs. Not only are they used for switching on and off, just like turning on an oven or turning off the AC or whatever, but they're used for dimming lights. And so, lights they're going to be operating at 50 hertz or 60 hertz. So you want to like PWM the light, and you can see here, the blue line is the AC voltage, and then the red line is when you turn it on and off, and you see like it's only on half the time, and so the light is halfway dim. So it's different than DC voltage PWMing, but it's kind of similar. You're cutting the AC waveform down to reduce the amount of current going through your lamp. But think about it, if you're switching on a relay on and off 60 hertz, 60 times a second to get this dimming effect, well, it's going to burn out in 5 minutes. It's not going to work out. And also notice that you may want to turn on, in this case it doesn't, but sometimes you want to turn on the power only when it crosses zero, so you don't get this big spike in voltage. And for those, you can use a zero crossing SSR. They have cool properties where they only turn on right when the voltage starts to move up from positive or negative from 0 volts, which can reduce wear on some electronic components, especially lighting if it's incandescent and you want to slowly ramp up the voltage. So, DigiKey has a really good guide if you want to use SSRs. There is a couple of downsides. One, it's going to be more expensive than a relay. A relay, they're like a couple bucks. SSR is about $10 instead, so it's more expensive. Second, you do have to heat sink them. Third, some of them are not opto-isolated. This one happens to be, but not all of them are. So do check out this guide that DigiKey wrote to let you know all about it. And of course, they're only good for AC voltage, not good for DC voltage. and they usually have more limitations on the amount of current and voltage because it's not a mechanical switch, it has to kind of dissipate some heat. And so that will affect how much current you can switch on and off and the voltage and all that. So you have to care about the rating a little bit more. They have lower ratings usually. But, if you're doing AC switching, especially of lighting, or you just don't want to deal with a mechanical chatter, or you just want something that's a solid state solution, this is an adorable SSR, and it's the size of a relay.
Yeah.
Here's some different options you've got. They're all activated by 4 to 12 volts, I think, the series. There's 240 volt AC version, and there's a 480 volt AC version. They can go from 10 amps up to 25 amps mounted to a heatsink. Check the data sheet. And there's, of course, a 0 voltage or, turn on whatever the heck you want version of these SSR. So there's a whole family of them. That said, we picked out one that we thought was pretty handy. I think this is a 24 volt, 16 amp version. And you can check it out. These are available from DigiKey. And check out the whole family. Just search for SSRMP to get the listing of all the different products that are available in this family.
And don't forget the ways to find this. You can go to digikey.com/short 4C5NTV, or you can look at the code here, 41SSRMP240216ND, or you can just search for, what do you think? Good thing to type in.
SSRMP.
You think that'll
Yeah,
do?
that's the whole family.
Yeah.
Because there's some that are a little more expensive. Like I think there's a more expensive version. There's ones that are like $10, depending on the functional
Let's take a
specifications.
look at it.
Okay, so this is what I liked is it's just such an adorable little package. First off, look at how small and cute this is. It's like so small and cute. So it's got this embedded heat sink, which I really liked. It's like potted in. It's a nice thick heat sink with mounting tabs. And it's nice and flat, so you can mount it to a heat sink. Everything is labeled. It's got the Rojas label on it. It's got the output telling you exactly what it's rated for. It's got the input telling you, it's 4 to 32 volts DC. The UR and the CE marking as well. And okay, check this out. There's a little LED. I thought this was so cute. You can, when you turn this on, a little light goes on. So I'm just giving it 5 volts. So I'm obviously not going to add to any AC, so this is safe for me to touch just fine. But there's a little indicator to tell you. So, if this was going really fast, it would be dim, but you'd at least be able to see that it's being activated. So I like that about this cute little SSRMP series. So check it out. Very handy.
That is this week's INMPI with DigiKey and Adafruit.
on MPI.
All right, we're going to keep rolling on
Yes,
for this
sorry.
first 2021 Ask an Engineer
Gotta get the
show.
noops.
Let's kick it off. Ready?
Yep. Noop, 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 noop.
That's good. Okay, new
I
product.
gotta get excited. I gotta get back into the noobs jam.
That's right. Okay, first up.
Okay, so we have these cool Lumia kits. This is from Maddie, who's an awesome engineer and fashion designer here in New York, and she's done some cool projects with us. We worked on like some code.org dress stuff, I think, a long time ago. And she started a company to make, manufacture, and sell these are really nifty. They're like weatherproofed, durable, wearable electronic pads that can be embedded into clothing. And so she's like, do you want to do stuff with this? So I said, well, why don't you send us like a starter kit that we can stock? And she did. So this is the kit for getting started. Now, I won't show everything, but it does come with a booklet to get started. So even if you're not an expert in, thank you. Hold on, let me autofocus. Okay. Even if you're not an expert, you can get started with all the different pieces. And there's like a heater type. There's a pressure matrix type piece, pressure sensor, and more. You do need to solder these connectors or have some sort of conductive. I think this is the heater. Yeah, this feels like the heater. So when you power this, it heats up, and it's like vulcanized. I don't know what you call it, but it's like embedded in rubber. So it's like not, the electronics aren't exposed. They're inside this like soft rubbery material. Or maybe this is the pressure pad. I don't even know. This is I think a matrix. So again, completely embedded and durable. And I think they have specifications on their webpage, but these can be like washed and used in the, unlike a lot of the wearables that we make, where it's like, okay, you make this LED sweater, but then you can't launder it afterwards because you've got like exposed wiring. This, there's all this electronics is embedded inside, and you can sew or stitch it or embed it into clothing. And then as long as you protect the connectivity between the pieces, it's durable for use and wear by people. So I think this is like kind of cool, futuristic, like cybertronics for making cyber clothing. Here's like an LED element. But yeah, it's like totally embedded in this rubber. It's cool. And it's got these little gold pads to tell you what the contacts are, like what they mean. And then you match it up with the electronics that you use to drive it. So it comes with alligator clips. You would use, you could use an Arduino or a Flora or something. You need some microcontrollers. They're just the sensors and heaters and pads. Like the heater, obviously, you could just connect up to power. But if you want to control it with something, you'll need a microcontroller. They recommend an Arduino Uno. Totally fine. But I think the electronic pieces are so similar to other parts that you might be familiar with that you can also use, CircuitPython or code.org if you like.
Yeah.
All
Okay.
right, check it out.
Next
Thank
up.
you, Maddie. All right, next up, we've got from SparkFun, a quick multi-port, also known as a very small throwing star for a gerbil ninja. This is a, you've got a STEMMA QT port, but you want like 3 instead of 1. Well, there you go. So, you can chain devices, but maybe sometimes you don't want them in a long line. You want them to be all in one, connected piece. So all the grounds are connected together, all the powers, clocks, and data. There's no circuitry on it. It just mechanically solders together all the contacts from 4 of these pads in a cross shape. It is really handy, couple bucks if you need it. This will be very handy. Just plug into some cables and you're ready to go.
All right, and the star of the show tonight, besides you, Lady Ada, is...
Okay, so we've got a new air quality sensor, and this one is kind of interesting because it's a CO2 sensor, but it's not an effective CO2 sensor. And you're like, wait a minute, it's not effective? It's like, no, it's not an effective CO2 sensor. So a lot of CO2 sensors you see, like the SGP30, they're not true CO2 sensors. They're not actually measuring the CO2 in the air. They're kind of approximating it based on volatile organic gases that they're measuring, and then they sort of do some math and they sort of do analysis, and they're like, okay, this is what we think the CO2 is, and we're pretty close. But this is a true NDIR sensor. So this is a sensor that uses, I linked to the Wikipedia, and I honestly I completely forgot everything about it, but it uses infrared light to detect how much CO2 is actually in the air, like parts per million. So this is what they use when, you want to actually measure atmospheric carbon dioxide, or you want to measure actual airflow in a building, or you want to, you're measuring CO2 in a greenhouse, or you're measuring emissions from, machinery, and you want to measure how much CO2 is coming out of them. This is the device. So this is from Sensirion, and they make great sensors. The sensor that they make is like this kind of chunky module you see in the middle, the green thing. There's actually a little microcontroller and also an SHT31 humidity and temperature sensor. So you actually get CO2 plus temperature plus humidity all over I2C, and the data kind of pops out over one I2C port. And we have code in Arduino and CircuitPython and Python. It's very easy to use. You basically every 2 seconds or so you get a new piece of data. You can change how often that data gets emitted, like from 2 seconds to an hour, but you're not going to get data more than every 2 seconds. And you can even see that glowing light. That's it performing the sensing in the cavity inside of this plastic body. So it's a really cool sensor. They're not as inexpensive as a basic air quality sensor because it's again doing true. it's doing true CO2 sensing. But again, there's nothing. I mean, it's $60, but there's nothing less expensive that does the real thing. And like I said, this is the real thing. This is true CO2 sensing. So right now it's measuring indoors about 800 ppm. That's not unusual. It's winter. We have things are closed and not a lot of air circulation happening here. If I breathe near it, you will see the CO2 rise. The little video we have, it's a compressed can of air, right? Which is, of course, going to have a lot of CO2 in it. But you can see even like me breathing, it does increase the CO2 in this area. And you can see the glowing IR sensing element at the end there, that from the air that's kind of flowing in, it measures it. And then sends the reading out over I²C. So we just soldered it onto a breakout board for you to make it really easy to use. It's got level shifting and a regulator, so it can be used with 5 volt or 3 volt, Raspberry Pi or Arduino Uno or anything in between. But for people who want to do environmental sensing, environmental science, earth science, emissions, air quality, like this is really the sensor you want. I actually haven't been able to find any other sensor that's under a couple $100 that does this so easily. So good on Sensorion for making a great quality sensor for an affordable price.
All right. And with that is new products.
New.
Okay, we are going to do some top secret, but while we do top secret, go to Discord, adafruit.it/Discord, and ask your questions there in the live stream channel. That is the best and only way to do it. For 2021, I kind of got to stick to that because there's too many different social media platforms that we're on, and the questions are there. And then you join, and you get to hang out all the time and ask all the questions and meet cool, interesting people that are trying to make the world a better place together. So while we do show and tell, line up your questions. I'll get to them over in Discord. So let's do some top secret.
Okay. Yeah,
Okay.
get in the vault. There's a lot of vault in
Yeah, first in the vault, we're going to play a video that we just shot.
Yeah.
Okay, Lady, what is this?
Hey, I'm trying to fulfill a quest I put myself on to find reverse mountable NeoPixels. So, basically SK or WS2812s that you can reverse mount and have the LED shine through the front of the PCB. So this is like one that I got, and I'm doing a little test here, and yeah, it works just fine. It's nice and bright. What's interesting is that, you still need to cut like a large hole in the PCB, but you should be able to mount this on the bottom through these 4 wide pads that stick out. You just have a hole cut out, and then the LED shines through. So I'm going to try a PCB with this next, now that I know these work.
All right, next up, tell me about this.
Okay, so I had like a 4-day weekend, and so I finally got to a lot of hardware I've been meaning to do. So this module right here is the new ESP32S2 mini module. So we've had boards like the Metro or the MagTag with the ESP32S2, which is the ESP32 with native USB that can run CircuitPython now. But they're really big, and those modules won't really fit very nicely on Feather, which is my favorite format. And so I wanted to wait until the mini version of the module came out. And this mini is it's a little bit, it's actually a lot more smaller, and it has the chip inside that has the built-in RAM and flash all in one, so it can be so compact. But it's still a very lovely little module with a PCB antenna. And so I put together 3 different versions of a Feather. One is just a plain Feather with everything on top, and ESP32S2 module, just sort of like our classic Feather. And then I made one. So this one here, these 2 images here. The module's on the bottom, and then on the top I put a TFT. This is based off of a Metro Mini that a long time ago you wanted me to design, and we couldn't make it work before. But now we have small TFTs, we have small Wi-Fi modules. So I sent out prototypes, and we'll get them soon, put them together.
All right, and then this is the...
Yeah, and this is another version where I put the module
Other
back
one.
on the front and the TFT on the bottom. So I'm trying out like different, I'm just
Yeah.
experimenting with like, once I got the schematic going, I'm like, well, let's try flipping things around. Like maybe it's reverse mounted, so that you can panel mount it with some buttons. So this is a different.
And when I posted this up, we put the GitHub repo screenshot there. One of the things that's starting to happen is people will say they're like working on a project, and like I thought of that a year ago. I never showed it to anyone, and I wish you wouldn't do that, Adafruit. Like, you're coming out with hardware. And I think everyone needs to stop with that. Like, ship your hardware. Post more than renderings. If you're going to, like, play the game of who thought of something first, that's not what open source hardware is anyways. Like, the whole idea is we're all figuring out the state of the art. Like, there's tons of ESP32 boards. Cool. It worked out great for customers. There's tons of ESP32 S2 boards coming out, if not are already out. That's great for everyone. I don't think it matters. Like, we don't ever care about us shipping something first. We show all of our work. So these coming soons, like, you know, I get asked sometimes, like, oh, why do you show what you're doing in advance? Are you worried about competitors, like, you know, seeing it and making it and shipping it faster? I'd be like, if they did a really good job, I'd probably buy it.
Yeah, and we do. I mean, like, I one of our new products was like this board from SparkFun. They did a great job.
Yeah,
I don't want to
why remake this? Like, we don't want to remake it.
I'm not going to make anything better than that.
Yeah. So it's just one of those things. So I think everyone needs to chill out with that, because, you know, someone's like, oh, I know you came. I know I came up with this before you, and they saw like the board. They thought the date on the board was like a different date, and it was like, no, we actually thought of this 2 years ago, and we posted it on our Flickr, and it's on GitHub from like 3 years ago, so please don't say you came up with it first.
But who cares?
But it doesn't even matter. Yeah, it's just like, stop it.
I would
Ship
never
hardware.
I would never say, oh, it's like somebody got something before me, I'm not going to do it.
Yeah,
you know,
so, you know, if you look at every single top secret video you do, you can see our entire product lines, and some of them we get to right away, some of it takes a little while, but we're always going to show all of our work all the times, and we're always going to, like, make something. And I'll talk about that in a little
except
bit.
for some things that are secret.
Yeah. All right.
Okay.
What's this?
Okay. I also was mucking around with some stuff, and I was in a situation where I needed 2 USB ports where I only had one USB port. So I started looking around at low-cost USB hubs. And this chip from Microchip was actually kind of nice. It's like a very simple all-in-one, pretty much, USB hub. It can do even a high-speed 2.0, although I don't know that my layout would support it. You can even configure it over I2C. Like, you can put it into like a mode where you write the EEPROM and then it shows up with like your VID and PID and username and stuff. So I thought this would be a cool little, like, it's not a stemma board, right, because it's a USB hub, but I put a stemma connector because you can reprogram it. So I don't know. I'm just experimenting with this chip.
All right. So this is
And then I sent out a panel.
We're sending out a panel. These are 15 new products coming out very soon. And if there wasn't, you know, the Capitol on fire and the end of democracy, I was going to have a longer discussion about this, but I'm just going to stick it in the top secret. So,
That's fine.
So we show our work. We show what we're doing and working on. And here's my 2021 request for all of us to help our dear Lady Ada with. So we post this up, and what do we see? You really need to slow down development. We get emails from dudes and say, I wish you wouldn't make this hardware or that hardware. And they're sending it to Limor. Here is, I'm just removing, because I don't want to, like, you know, dunk on anyone.
We're not dunking.
We would prefer Limor not work on hardware and work on hardware.
And by the way, the two things under the stars, I work on both of them, okay?
Yeah.
Like, I'm still doing both of those things.
So here's from my point of view, knowing Limor for like 10 years now, and just like, guys need to stop telling Limor she can't make hardware. Like, it's not because they don't want hardware out there. They feel bad about themselves, their abilities or ability to ship, the fact that they have to make a video, a guide. They have to, like, try harder than just putting out a board and just, you know, post and ghost. We have a very high level of service.
You say they post and ghost?
Yeah.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Where's that from?
That's
Is it a TikTok thing?
That's
Is
a
it
social media strategy.
Okay.
It's actually a healthy one. Sometimes just post stuff and then leave.
Oh, okay.
Don't look at the comments. So this has happened enough, and I have a folder of emails from lots and lots of people saying, could you tell Limor not to release hardware as fast? Can you tell Limor not to release such and such hardware? Can you imagine anyone else getting emails like this? I've never seen anything like this. None of the other engineers that we work with get these type of emails. Only Limor does. So anyways, if you see it, please tell people to stop. All of y'all want hardware. Like our community here, everyone who's watching, you love all the hardware. This is great. It's cutting edge stuff. It's like competitors, frenemies, or whatever you want to call them. These like weird aggressions and like, you know, I really wish you wouldn't work on this. Like, who talks like that? And like Twitter is like the worst place for this. There's like, I'm gonna needle you to death. So, anyways,
That's why I'm not on it.
we are shipping and going to release more products than ever. And we're an open source hardware company. You can download them. You can make your own. That is this week's top secret.
Okay.
Thank you so much. Thanks for coming to my TED Talk. Okay, so we're going to do the questions now.
All right, get
Yeah,
to the
good
questions. I'm going to breathe into this sensor.
Yeah. Okay, so here we go. Ready? First up, the question is,
Yes.
and thank you for reposting that Moto Timo. Adafruit, recommended headers for stacking multiple mini latching relay feather wings. The relay is taller than normal stacking headers, but maybe that's okay.
You can, but I would use a tripler or a doubler or a quad, to be honest. I don't like putting things on top of relays. That's a little pet peeve I have.
Okay, next up, what inspired, or rather, applications do you envision for the reverse mountable NeoPixel?
Well, we had a cool one on the show and tell where a person had a keyboard and they backlit the keys using these reverse mount NeoPixels. I thought that was a really good idea.
Okay, what I wasn't sure of when you wrote about those boards on the blog is if you will make them with the current mini module or you're waiting for the mini module was PSRAM.
I'm trying to elicit a response from Espresso about when or if they will make a version with PSRAM. If I can't get the ones with PSRAM soon, I will release them without, right? I would prefer with PSRAM, but I'd rather release and then upgrade later and be like, congratulations, everyone, version 2 now comes with PSRAM.
Yeah.
I would prefer it with PSRAM. I think the PSRAM is awesome. But if it isn't there, I will move forward with hardware and I can always upgrade it later.
People are saying
Posting ghosts. No one.
they like it. They're saying make all the hardware and then some extra after that. Lamore, you're the hardware queen. 100% behind you. Can you please tell Lady A to release more hardware?
That's what
more
I'm
hardware, more
talking
inspiration,
about.
please.
I'm making the hardware here.
Yeah. So here's the thing.
Okay.
I'm gonna say this. The reason I'm doing this too is because when you run a company and you're on social media and everything, you tend to forget some of the good stuff and you definitely remember the bad stuff. And I have a folder full of it. I actually wanted Lamore to hear tonight. This is your community, the people that you're with, the open source world, the people in
want the
Discord,
hardware.
and you know what they want? They want more hardware.
I do too.
They want more hardware. So we should never slow up. We should never let up. And we shouldn't let anyone who feels bad about their own hardware producing capability to make you feel bad or anyone bad. I see this all the
I
time.
don't anymore.
I see this all the time.
But I agree. It is kind of funny. It happens like once a year.
Specifically, women on social media, guys will say, "Oh, don't do that," or "You should do something else," over and over and over again.
Yeah.
And if you see it, call it out. Talk to. I always try to email someone privately, like, "Hey, that's not cool," and then they hate me forever, and I don't get Christmas cards anymore.
We don't get
But
Christmas cards anyways.
Well, I've sent some emails. Okay. Can you tell them more not to make it so easy to make electronic stuff? I really like having a hard time in releasing the magic blue smoke from stuff. Yeah.
No.
Okay. Yeah.
That's why I have-
as a customer, I do not want Adafruit to slow down. Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay. Release all the hardware. More sizes and colors than MagTag. You got
I
it.
want to. Yeah, I've been trying. Yeah, when everything stops being on fire for like 10 minutes, I will.
Yeah.
I have a design for a 4.2-inch MagTag, and I'd like to fucking finish it. And but I wanted to jump on these ESP32S2 feathers because the mini modules were finally released, and I was waiting and waiting, and I had like a sample, an engineering sample, and so like I had the mechanical shape, but I was like. I was waiting until they were available in quantity before I started doing the design, which maybe I shouldn't have. But then they were releasing quantity, and I was like, okay, great. I'm going to like really quickly get some stuff done with this because I have more than one sample module.
Drew says, of course you should take time off and everything, but let me tell you a secret, everybody. So running a company, Lamore has to do a lot of that. You know what she really likes doing? Making hardware.
The hardware is my time off.
The hardware is like this woman was built to make electronic hardware for you, and
that's true.
and like when you buy whenever. By the way, when y'all buy it, that means we can keep doing it.
Yeah, it's
okay.
Look, I had a 40 week, and I was like, oh my god, I'm just gonna design hardware. Like that Friday and
Yeah.
that Saturday was so quiet. I had so few emails that I could just crank out 3 feather designs. Like it doesn't take that long, but I need like
All right.
peace and quiet.
Someone said they started watching 7 years ago. You're blowing stuff out of the water. Yay, good.
Yay.
And then someone said, do you ever consider carrying the Nexion displays or creating something like it?
I want to create something like we actually, did start like 8 years ago. We did start designing something that was going to use an LPC chip and a TFT. I do want to revisit that because I don't like that the next gen uses UART. I just feel like that's such a terrible protocol to use. because it's so restrictive. Again, usually like devices don't have a hardware UART, and that's why you would have an external display. But I'm thinking about it. You know, I'm thinking about the ways to doing it. And like, would it be part of Display IO or would it be Arduino? You know, we have very good fast DMA now on the SAMD 21 and 51. That would be a great platform. So I'm thinking about it.
Yeah.
I have other platforms are coming out that might be a good option as well.
So yes, I am saying that all of y'all customers, people who help out in the community, people who release code, you're all her enablers. That's exactly the
Yeah,
right way to
that's
look
true.
at it. And you know, the last thing I'll say on that topic is I think sometimes here's a good test. Like when you see someone having fun and they enjoy what they do you feel good about it or do you feel bad about it? If you feel bad about it, especially if you like try to make them feel bad about it, you're the hater. And it's not like it's not a death sentence. Like I've seen people like, oh my gosh, like I'm the baddie. Ooh, you know, like they have that realization that like, oh wow, they feel bad when they see someone doing good. And I think that's one of the things that comes up too, especially with Adafruit. Like we really, really like doing this.
I do.
We really like doing it.
I like
And you know what?
electronic.
The team.
I really like routing boards. It's so peaceful.
The-
You're like,
the entire
oh, this
team
little
at
wire
Adafruit-
goes over there.
The entire team at Adafruit likes their jobs. They feel really good that they're part of a good cause and a
Yeah,
company.
we actually talked to someone yesterday who said like, she's like, this is like
this is my thing I
this
like
is my
doing.
thing I like doing.
And I think that it comes across in every single thing you do, from the bits of hardware that you feel in your hand, from the package you get, from the site that you use, from the code that you download, from the videos you watch. I think when you have a group of people that are having fun and a good time, you can tell which companies are miserable because their products are miserable. Everything about it's miserable, and you feel bad when you do it, and you feel bad when you use their stuff. And so I think that's one of the things that, you know, it's good to feel good when people are enjoying themselves and doing this thing. This has been the hardest year, like 2020, of our
Yeah, this
entire
has been-
company.
it's been tough.
Today was one of the worst days for COVID deaths, ICUs, democracy, you name it. We're clicking every single thing. But, you know, brighter days ahead. And like I said in the very beginning, all of us are the type of people that build and share. And that's the only way forward. That's it. Whatever happens in the future, it's going to have something to do with technology. And y'all are on you're in the front row, and we're going to keep releasing hardware. And, you know, a lot of this I tell myself because I'm just like, man, what a heavy day. What a heavy day. What a heavy year. What a heavy life.
Yeah, it is.
So let me see if there's any more questions. And I think, does the Brew Fruit LE Knap have an API available to the public?
Yeah, I think it's on GitHub. I think
Yeah.
we have the whole source code is available. You can just build the app yourself.
Yeah.
Just look for Bluefruit Connect on our GitHub. Just search for it.
All right. Suggestion: model makers would love if you put NeoPixels on Flex PCB for a small width, maximum density, and all on a row smallest available. Oh, that's a good idea.
You might really like a product coming soon.
Yeah. Ooh. Ooh. If you look really close on, like, maybe it's probably is it one of these?
It was not that. No, it was the other video that you didn't.
Oh yeah,
publish
I'm
yet.
posting up another video probably tomorrow morning,
So there you go.
or maybe even tonight. We'll see. Okay, with that, I think we're done for tonight. Thank you
Okay,
so
thank
much,
you, everybody.
That's our show this week. Let me check the
Who was on?
chat.
Chat,
Say hi
CSB.
to Jessie May.
Hey, Jesse May.
Jessie May and or Kelly. They're both
Hey,
here.
Kelly. Jesse May.
Thanks so much. And tonight's stars of the show was all of you in the community, everyone doing stuff,
And not the
Our
people
Lady Ada,
saying not to be heard.
and pretty much think about what we can do together. You know, tomorrow can be a better day. We can do it. And I'm thankful that we're all not thankful we're in this situation. I'm thankful we're here together though. So we'll see everybody next week, 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Ask an Engineer, and please don't forget to consider picking up a gift certificate, AdaBox, any of the new products, adafruit.com.
We got an exciting January, believe me. Other than this nonsense happening in the world, a lot of really good stuff's coming soon.
Yeah. Okay, everybody. With that,
Thanks, everybody.
here is your moment of Zener.